Good day, YouTube. My name is Colin, and today we're going to talk about the best way to save for your son or daughter's education, and that is with the 529 College Savings Plan. I'm going to go over quickly some basics about why it's the best plan, what you need to know about it initially, and then I'm going to go a step further and talk about some things that are oftentimes overlooked or some things people don't even know when they set up a 529 College Savings Plan, and I'm going to direct you exactly where to go to research this so that you can set up the best possible plan for your son or daughter. That's today on Financial Success. All right, let's jump right into the video. So, why is the 529 College Savings Plan the best way to save for college? You could put your money in a regular investment account and then withdraw it and put it and spend it on college expenses. Of course, when you do this, you are going to pay taxes on all the money that you accrue in the form of capital gains tax. Now, you avoid paying all those taxes as long as you set up a 529 college savings plan and put all your investments in there. As long as you're following the rules, meaning you're using this money for college expenses, i.e. room board, tuition, books, those types of things. Actually, I'll correct myself. It doesn't even have to be college. You can use this for tuition for high school, grade school, those types of things. So any type of expenses for educational purposes, you can use this money on, and you will not have to pay capital gains tax federally. And depending on the state, I'll give you more information on that later in the video, but depending on the state, maybe not even have to pay any taxes to your state. So this money can be used for college or for grade school or those types of things, for any of those types of tuitions. Now, what types of things? Let me expand upon that a little bit. So according to the IRS website, you can use this on tuition, fees, books, room and board at an eligible institution, and tuition at an elementary or secondary school. It also goes on to say in the IRS website that this can even be used for computer technology equipment. So if you need to buy a new laptop for college, you can even use it to cover that expense. So a computer and related peripheral equipment defined as an auxiliary machine, whether inline or offline, which is designed to be placed under the control of the central processing unit of a computer, such i.e. things like a printer. This does not include equipment of any kind used primarily for amusement or entertainment. Computer technology also includes computer software for educational purposes. So all kinds of expenses, anything. So say you want to buy a new laptop and you need to buy Microsoft Word, all that can be covered. So a lot of things you can use it for to pretty much cover anything related, virtually anything related to college, or virtually any type of college related expense. So contribution limits, as you know, for most people, like say when you have a Roth IRA, you can't contribute more than, typically for most people, depending on income, it's like $5,500. Well, you can actually give a lot more than that to the 529. According to the IRS website, it is $14,000 you can contribute to your child's education. So there are basically two different types of plans. There's number one, probably what is less common is the prepaid tuition plan, and then there's number two, which is more common, and that is the savings plan. Each state has its own plan. Each plan is somewhat unique. Now, prepaid tuition is something that you would set up at a qualified institution. So for most of us, like say I have a child who's less than 6 months old. I don't know where he's going to want to go to school, so I'm just going to set up the basic savings plan, and then we leave our options open to go wherever he decides to go, because I have no idea what he's going to want to do when he grows up or where he's going to want to go to school. So that's why it's in my opinion, why it's much more common to do the savings plan. When you set up the plan, so say I set it up as the parent, can my kid just take this money and blow it on something stupid? And the beauty of the 529 College Savings Plan is your child can be the beneficiary, but you can still hold custodial control of that account. So whoever purchases the plan is the custodian. Therefore, I can ensure that my kid's making smart decisions with how this money is spent when he's old enough to go to college. Because everybody knows, hey, when you're 18, 19, you may not always make the best decisions with money. And as a parent, I can help ensure that this money is used for how I want it to be used for, which is going to be obviously for college tuition, those types of things. Now, each plan has one designated beneficiary. However, if you decide, so say I save up $50,000 for my first kid and he only uses $30,000, the next $20,000 I can basically go through a process to change the beneficiary, and I can use that for the next kid. If I don't use it for the next kid, I can take the money back. I can still use that money, I just have to pay some tax penalties. So no need to worry about over contributing to the account. So now, what is an eligible educational institution? According to the IRS website, an eligible education institution is generally any college, university, or vocational school or other post-secondary education institution eligible to participate in student aid program administered by the U.S. Department of Education. So it's going to be most common and recognized colleges and institutions. Now, those are the kind of the basics. Two things I really want to touch on. When you set up your account, typically you're going to have a choice to put it in either some type of a savings account, which is going to be very conservative, or some type of other account like a stock or index fund account. I'm going to try to steer you to really consider looking at something that's going to accrue more interest, like an index fund or that type of account, especially if you're setting this up and your kid's not going to go to college for another 10, 15, 18 years. You're going to have time on your side. You're really going to want to look at something that's going to be paying a good amount of interest, like an index fund based account, rather than something overly conservative like a savings account. So that's definitely something to look at. Now, one last thing I'm going to touch on, and that is that every state has their own plan. You do not have to set up your plan in the state you live in. I live in Minnesota. If I think that the plans are better in North Dakota, I can set up the plan there. And you can use that money. If my son decides he wants to go to college in Texas, he can still use that money at an approved college university in Texas. So there's a lot of flexibility. But in a lot of cases, it's going to be advantageous to set up your plan in the state you live in, because you will have tax advantages in that state. I'm going to give you a link, and I want you just to go there, at least spend 10-15 minutes doing a little bit of research. And I'm going to put the link right here. Here is the link I want you to go to. I'll also put it below in the comment section. Click on there, and you can easily compare the advantages of every state's plan. For example, I live in Minnesota, so I would get so there's tax advantages to setting up my plan in Minnesota. However, when my kid's old enough to go to school, like I said, he is not restricted to go to a Minnesota college. He can go anywhere in the country, as long as it is an approved school or educational institution. But really play around, because if you live in a state where there is no tax advantage, for example, if you live in South Dakota, there's no state tax credit or deduction. So if I lived in South Dakota, I would be looking at every single state and picking out and comparing them and picking out which one I thought was best. Some of them have better reward programs. Some states have better options. Some states have more or less enrollment fees. So look at your state, see if it's advantageous, and like I say, click on that link. Just start looking around on it. I promise it's easy to read. It's not going to be overwhelming. Hopefully you'll set up a good savings plan for your child. Hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to give a like. Feel free to give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Other than that, thanks for watching this episode of Financial Success.